Cheryl from 19 Mosaics has sent me a couple of things to road test in my last purchase. So the first thing I'm looking at are the new professional diamond pads that you can use instead of a grinder, and they're very, very affordably priced. So we've got one here for glass and ceramic, on ceramic and on just glass. So let's have a look at how they work and how I use them. So here I've got some glass to test it out on. So a very pretty textured glass. I've got some crockery. How is it going to go on my crockery, which is sort of porcelain based? A ceramic tile from Bunnings. See how that edge goes with it. Bit of hard Japanese crockery. Is it different to this other pretty red stuff that I think is probably made in China? Most of it is. To see how the coverings go with the various grits. So I have my bath for the diamond pad, because sanding any sort of crockery, we want it nice and wet. We know that our grinder heads have to be wet. I have an old bit of wood here that's been sealed and painted, which I use as my platform to lean on, which gives me some purchase on what it is I'm grinding. So let's have a look first at, let's check out the crockery. So here I've got a bit, I'll hold it as close as I can, see if it will focus in on that. And you can see how rough that edge is. So let's have, I'm going to go for 120 for this one. The 120, which is a yellow one. Does glass. I would be very gentle with this. If it's an iridized glass, you don't want it sort of interfering with that. And of course, we just give it a little bit of a bath, and then we can come down and scrub it. You can see I haven't done much. One side. Give it a rinse off and have a look at how smooth those edges are now. That light took nothing. You don't worry about what's at the bottom here, because that'll be covered with grout and glue. You worry about the edges that you can see once it's grouted. So that's a big thumbs up. I'm not seeing much crazing or anything like that around the edge. It looks pretty smooth to me. Now let's have a look at the same one for this hard Japanese crockery. See if it's the same one. So you can see I'm leaning it on the top of the platform and then coming in here. I'll just do half of it, because you don't need to actually sand now. And my goodness me, that's just terrific. So you can see on that one how smooth it is, but there's also no chipping around the edge. So the 120 works really well with that. Let's try 120 on a tile. I wouldn't use a 120 on glass, by the way. So this is one of the good old Bunnings tiles. Have a look at how rough that edge is. Now I need to get more off because it's way more lumpy bumpy. So it might be that you want to use old 60. Because you want to take a fair bit off. And it's much rougher. Taking it off really quite quickly, and there's lots of stuff coming off with it. So if I just give that a bath and a bit of a wipe so we can see it. Because what we're really interested in, how does it disturb the surface of the finish? So I don't know if you can see it up close. I'm trying really hard for you to be able to see it really closely. and whether I'm being too fussy, but it's just minuscule amounts here. So if you want to smooth that off, then go to your 120 and just to give it a little bit of a smooth rub, just to get rid of any crazing. Yes, it's done that. So for me, that's perfect, and that's why I would use 2 of them on tiles and those sorts of things. Let's have a look at the other bit of plate that's a very soft, I guess, clay, and see what it does, if anything, to this finish. So I'm going to try first off with Mr. Biggie, which is 60. And, oh, I didn't show you up close. How does it look? So you can see whether there's improvement along the way. Because that's what road testing is all about, is how does it really work in our day-to-day mosaicing. So I'll be using all of these things. It's not a one-off play. So there's way more chipping and crazing along the edge here with the heavier number 60. So let me try now with 120, because it might be that this is best with a 200. I'll do the other side for comparison. See, that's also chipping a little bit on that one. So it's test things out before you sort of go holus bolus, and why you would need more than one, but which is the best one to start with that may require a little more work. So my favourite, the one I use the most, but I like to have them all, is the 200. I also have a 400 if I need to. So let me go over the one I just did with the 120 and see if I can't smooth that a little bit better. Looks like that's not so great on one that I've already done. So let's try this side where I haven't attached or attacked it with a biggie. I'm going to use the 200 around the corner of the edge to see if it's better. So for this particular one, it actually doesn't like to be sanded. It's still chippy a bit. If I had red paint or something, I might want to do it. But what that tells me is don't bother. Go for the nice rustic raw look. I actually prefer all my crockery not smoothed off, but you know, there are people who like it smoothed off. I like them to look like chopped up like this. Fine. So let's have a look at the glass with the 200, because I said I would never go below that for glass. And with glass, it's about taking off the bits that you don't want to cut you. So you don't have to do a lot. That's pretty much it. And that would be, that piece of glass is all done. So there's no sharp, it's all gone. No DNA happening here. You know, and that's a clear bit of glass, so it would be quite sharp.